welcome to What's Going On with your hosts Corey Struck and Lynnete Hapkin. Today we are going to be interviewing Erica Smith-Payne, and we're also going to be interviewing former 49ers player Bubba Paris.
Sorry, so my question was, you were just talking about Texas and high schools and filling the stadium. So I was just reading an article actually, and they were talking about how we're actually causing more traumatic injury to kids at a younger age because we're overusing, we're overworking, and we're over-expecting. So obviously you had a lot of practice before you ever made it to your final career as a dancer. So has that changed? Are we getting better, or states like Texas still overworking? And
we were playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it was a counter trade. My job is to pull around and lead Roger Craig up the hole, and he was in to run. But anyway, I was pulling around, and Winston Moss is the only guy that if I see him now, I'd be scared. I'd get a bodyguard, I'd call the police. But he read the play, and as soon as I turned up, he met me with his helmet, with his forearm, and he hit me so hard, he knocked the taste out of my mouth. I went dizzy, I went numb. My whole metal face mask caved in around my face. I could barely move. The team ran out to get me. I could barely walk, and they saw my face mask was bent up. Could barely think. Everything was just so disoriented. So they grabbed my helmet, and they rushed over my head. They grabbed the helmet, and they working as fast as they could. They put more effort to make sure that they put a new face mask on it. As soon as they gave me the new face mask, they sent me back out. It was more effort put into making sure I had a new face mask than making sure that the face was in it. It was okay. And if I would have stayed out and told them that I had a concussion, I'd have been considered a weak,
that wasn't happening back then.
Yeah, so the reality of it is now that because of the protocols that they have, more young people will have, even though there's more people playing, there'll be less number of people that have, real tragic type of injuries because.
Well, it's funny because the story wasn't about football.
What was it about?
Baseball.
Baseball's a brutal, unbelievable. You're right. This is a true story.
Come on, I didn't even hit you with the ball.
See, you gotta understand.
About our kids playing baseball.
Baseball, you're right.
Baseball. You can play like 27 years in baseball, man.
Imagine this. Baseball is a sport that discriminates against big people. I'm gonna tell you why. First of all,
that's not entirely true. It is true in baseball.
Because you're not big. How would you know? How can a little bitty guy? It's like a little bitty guy can't tell you the reality of a big guy. But this is the truth. I'm serious. This is the fight. But you gotta understand this. This is the reality. Hear me in baseball, and I'm kid. I'm 6'7", 300 and something pounds in there. But anyway, I'm up at bat, and I'm scared, terrified of getting hit with the ball.
You know why they don't want? You know what the problem is? Your strike zone is too damn big.
No, but you don't understand.
That's a big strike zone.
Imagine this: I hit the ball, and I'm fast because even though I may be big, I'm graceful. A lot of people say that. I run down to it, and I get all the way to first base faster than anyone my size could ever possibly get there.
Of course.
Then I face discrimination. When you're this big, and the aisle you have to run down is this wide, how does the first baseman, if you're running from first to second base, throw the ball to the second baseman without hitting you? When he can't see anything but your back as you're running down there, they have to reach out and throw a curveball around me. And I have been tagged in the back by the ball running in between bases to the point. I'm terrified because they discrimination. They should have a different way of throwing the ball when big people are on the base running between the bases, because then won't nobody get hurt. So baseball,
that sounds like the perfect money.
It is one of the most discriminatory, vicious sports in the world. People throwing a ball.
No, I didn't say all
Let your kids play football. If they're going to play something, let them play a humane sport like football. We don't throw balls at you. We don't swing bats. And we don't have fights. How many times have you ever seen a bench clearing fight? Seriously.
You got to throw the ball at people in football.
How old are you right now?
How old am I? I'm 37.
And she's 22. But anyway, in all of this amount of time, how many times in your life have you actually seen a football team clear the bench to fight? Because we're not that kind of people. We are civilized people. We're forced to get education. See, football is the only sport. This is how you have to be in football. Football is the only sport that in order to make it to the professional level, you're not qualified for the professional level until the junior year of your senior year of college. So I mean, you have to at least be your junior class before you're eligible for to go into pro football. So you could be in high school, you could be the best player to ever play. Your first year of college, college, you could be the best person since Jim Brown. You can even be your junior year the best, but you're not qualified for the draft until your class would have been a junior.
So what you're saying is you could be Marcus Lattimore, right? You get a catastrophic knee injury, and aside from the $25 million you would have gotten instead, you get a $1.5 million insurance policy. It's clearly a discriminatory action to make people wait until junior year.
You're right, it may be, but what it does, getting back to our original point, the guy who says it's not important to understand the states, my original point is that football players are smarter than baseball players.
He said, when do you need to know where Idaho is?
When do you need to know where Idaho is?
He said that.
There's even a football team there.
I go to Boise, I'm a motivational speaker, and I just go to Boise, Idaho. I've been there at least 10 times doing events all through Idaho. They got the beautiful Snake River.
I wasn't really trying to demean Idaho. I like Idaho, man.
I'm going to tell all you bass, you know who I'm talking about. You bass, this guy right here, he don't like y'all. So but that's what you discover. You discover that I think that because we're forced to stay in school to at least our junior year, that football players are more intelligent than baseball players. So we don't start fights. We realize that it doesn't make sense to use balls and bats, and so we play a civilized, organized, sport.
No, that's true in football. Like when you go to a fight in football, there's always that one moron who pulls off his helmet and tries to use it like a weapon. That guy never ends well in those fights. You don't leave your helmet on.
No matter where you go in life, there's always going to be those people who are the exception to the rules. You know the thing that really excites me,
that's hockey. That's
what? Hockey is just
you take it on to fight. No, but
no, that's totally out. But there's always that guy in football, like in high school. There's always that guy who thinks he's smart. He's pulling his helmet trying to use it like a weapon. Like that never goes well.
No.
I've been playing football for 21 years. I played 11 years as a professional. I played 4 years of college, and I played high school and Little League, and I've never seen anybody pull off the helmet and say that. You're a Raider fan, aren't you?
No, I'm a Dolphins fan. We've been over this.
Matter of fact, he's a Dolphin fan. This is a perfect introduction to the reality of what I'm here to do. My first year of football, I had an opportunity to, you got to figure, I was a kid that when I was growing up, I was always considered big. And when I was in the 7th and 8th grade and I was in middle school, I used to think that God hated me, because if he didn't hate me, how could you make me so big? That I was, all the other people, they called me Baby Huey, Uncle Fester, and I just wanted to do anything I could in my life to be normal. When I was in middle school, everything that wasn't me was normal. I wish that I could be the size of other people. I used to get in trouble for talking all the time. And so I just had this low self-esteem. I thought I was a mistake. And if I could have changed any one thing about my life during my early years, I would have changed my size, because I saw nothing good in it. And I used to always get in trouble because I had so much to say. And so what I've discovered eventually, Deepak Chopra in his book, 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, the first law is pure potential, the law of pure potential, that we are the pure potential for that thing that we were birthed to give to the earth. And you don't become a pro football player when you're 25 years old. You become a pro football player when you're born 11 pounds, 12 ounces, and you're 26 inches long. And I would have given up that thing that made my life different, because I didn't understand that it had a purpose when I was younger. Because if you go to schools, I go and I've spoken at 130 elementary schools in the last few years. And one of the reasons why is because I understand at that age, a lot of kids are in search of normal. That thing that they're not. Normal is, I'm too short, I'm too tall, I don't have this much money, I'm not good in math, I'm not good at this. And they spend their whole life thinking it was a mistake, wishing that there's something that they could do to change their reality. And so I discovered that I was born perfect in every way to be a football player, and I was also born perfect in every way to be a motivational speaker. And the reason why I say the Miami Dolphins, which I know is your team.
I was wondering how we're getting back to this.
Because you got to understand, I'm an academic All-American at Michigan. I wanted to know what the 50 states were. But anyway, let's get back to it. But
I just don't know where Michigan is on the map.
But anyway, the reason why I mentioned Miami, he's a Miami Dolphins fan, and I just wrote a book, and my book is called Born for This Moment. And when I was in my first, going into my first Super Bowl, imagine I'm sitting in my house. We just won our first Super Bowl. All my family's in from Kentucky, and we're all watching TV, excited, and we're, because we're going to the Super Bowl. Now it's time to figure out who the AFC's representative for the Super Bowl would be. And so all of a sudden, Miami wins their game. And so the Miami Dolphins are going to be the team that we play in the Super Bowl. So we all excited. Well, we're going to beat Miami in the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl.
84, right? So,
yeah.
Marino's 5,000.
Yeah, and we played it at the Stanford Stadium. So this is what we hear on TV. You know how they do news teas. Here, all of a sudden, here's a news tea. The Miami Dolphins figure that they're going to beat the 49ers because they've discovered the 49ers' weakest links. Details at 11. I was like, who's the weakest link for the 49ers? I said, that's an interesting story. I can't wait to look at that. So we ate our meal. We sit in the living room, and all of a sudden the news comes on. And then the tease comes back. The Miami Dolphins and their killer bees and Ken Bokamper figure that they will have an advantage over the 49ers because they've discovered the 49ers' weakest link. And then my picture pops up.
Oh, what's up with
my
that?
picture? And I'm like, oh, Lord, they think that I'm the weakest link. And they said this young, big, and battle tackle, Bubba Paris, will not be able to stop this Ken Bokamper, this veteran Ken Bokamper. And so my book is about this. I remember we were going into the play. We were ready to play this game. So the whole week, all I hear on TV, Ken Bokamper's going to beat you. And everybody talking. It's a national story. I used to have little old ladies come up in the store and they hit me with their little purse. Say, you better not let that Ken Bokamper hurt my Joe Montana. And so it just, for a whole week, that's all I heard about. So you imagine, here I am, 24 years old, my second year in the league, getting ready to play in this Super Bowl. Imagine when I was a kid, I used to imagine doing this in a playground. And I'm actually in the game, and now the national story is how I'm the weakest link and this guy's going to beat me. So I will never forget, I lined up on we get in the huddle. Reagan, first of all, he called the coin toss. He flipped a coin in the White House, and we called heads. And it was heads, and everybody was excited. We even thought the president was on our side. And we're getting ready to go out into this game now, and everybody's excited because we're going to get the ball first.
Sure.
But I'm kind of nervous because now there was 84,000 people at the game, and we had an audience of close to 80 million people watching the game. And all know that this young man, me, is supposed to be dominated by this veteran Ken Bokamper. So everybody's looking at this matchup. And I will never forget, I get in the huddle. And Bill Walsh calls a play called a 22Z in, and it's me max protection, which means that Joe Montana sets all the way back in the 7-step protection, which is maximum protection, back completely to the outside. No one else is on this side. All of the receivers are spread out. It's an island with this man one-on-one. So in the first play of the game, either he was going to beat me or I was going to beat him. And if I beat him, the ball would have been thrown. You wouldn't even know anything happened. But if he gets past me, they would know that this was the start of a long day. So this is the first play that Bill Walsh gets to. So I get up into my line of scrimmage, and I walk up to the huddle, and I look at him. And for the first time when I looked in his eyes, I began to reflect over my life. And my book talks about how every decision, from me discovering that when I was a kid that I was normal. I mean, I'm granted you, there's going to be some kids out there, you may even have some kids that you have that may be too big or they're not good in math. And there's been something about them that has made their young years miserable. But I want you to tell them that from the top of their heads to the soles of their feet, that they're perfect in every way, that they are a perfect expression of their pure potential, that one day they're going to discover that beautiful thing in them and they're going to give the world something they never had before them. And I learned that I was a football player, but I had challenges all of my life. But everything that I got in my life prepared me for that moment when I would face your guy who had the nerve to tell me, I'm just hurt by the thought of it, tell me that he was going to whoop me. And when you read my book, you'll find out what happened.
Or we could just look at the YouTube and see.
Well, you're right. I can't resist. Let me tell you about this.
It's not a secret. It's not.
Yeah, this happened.
We know what happened.
86 plays.
22
I want you to understand it. 86 plays. That means 86 times this guy had a chance to whoop my butt. I dogged him out. I beat him so bad that this is a true story. I sent him flowers and candies to the Miami Dolphin locker room because I'm a Christian.
No, you did not.
I did.
No.
And I told him this whooping wasn't personal; it was business. It is. I can't lie, Lord. You know I got. No lightning bolt hit me.
No, I want to go back and cheer for him now.
No, but seriously,
no, they killed the Dolphins that game though.
We beat the Dolphins, but the thing about it is that is my message that I take around as a motivational speaker. That. Today, for instance, if I got a tweeter and I said, hashtag speak 77, and my message today on my Facebook was, to live like you have a purpose and do something this week that will live beyond you. You know, people sometimes get so mixed up in the simple things in life that we don't realize that we have a purpose. That there's something in this world that we were given to do that we're the best in the world at. And we're not on that mission, and we just think that us waking up and going to sleep is the whole meaning of life. But the reality of it is that even today I know I'm doing something that will live beyond me, because there's going to be some kid who someone has told them that they're ugly, or that their hair ain't long enough, or that they're too skinny or too this, and they're going to hear me say that you're born perfect for your purpose, that you are the complete embodiment for that thing that you were birthed to do, and it's going to make somebody's life different. Something will live beyond me, because somebody I know is going to hear that, and they're going to feel better about themselves. And I think that that's one of the life's missions that we should have, that we should first of all discover that thing that we do that's better than anyone else in the world. I have a whole bunch of children. Now, me and my wife, we have a combined family of 9 children. We have 7 boys and 2 girls, but 8 of those 9 children are for me. I had 6 boys in a row, and then I had identical twin girls.
Why did you want a girl?
Because girls are awesome.
When I was a kid, my cousin had a daughter, and she named her daughter Star. And for some reason, I thought that was a beautiful name, and I always wanted to have a little girl. See, I came from a family where my father was tough. He was a military background, and he died young in my life, but he spent his life trying to prepare me for life, and so I got that spirit in me. And with my sons, I had sons from real early, and they were like little soldiers. When we walk into the store, they would be all in one line, 6 of them in a line, and they wouldn't touch anything, they wouldn't mess with anything, they wouldn't ask for anything.
How do I get that?
And then there would always be this family that you would see their kids rolling all over the aisles and tearing stuff up. And I would say, man, won't they take care of them kids? Let them run around and they fall crying in the aisles. And I couldn't understand it. And then I had my twin girls. See, the girls get you, that you're Googling it, there's a softness and your love, because they love their daddy so much, they're so cute. They do so precious. But anyway, and they're beautiful, identical twin girls, gorgeous. They look just like me. But anyway.
Knew that was coming.
They do. And so, plus they're 6'4", 6'4.5", and one of them wears a size 15-man shoe. So they really are like their dad. Fine with big feet. But anyway, but when I went through the stores with my daughters, the thing that was so crazy about it is that they would be all over the aisles, tearing things up. Oh, give me this. And people would walk up to me and look at me like, won't he do something with those girls? So the reason I wanted girls is that you can display and you can show that tender side, that you can let them be soft, that you can show them all the love, that you don't have to prepare them to be a man. And that made being a parent fun, to have someone that I could give unconditional love, knowing that if I spoiled them, I wasn't hurting them. A boy, you can't do that to. A boy, no matter what you do, you have to prepare him to be a self-sufficient man. But a little girl, you can just love her to death, and then make sure she marries the right husband. And if she don't write the right husband, you knock the husband out. See?
I was going to say, and foist her on the rest of the world.
Yeah, you do. Right? Called lay hands. See, the Bible says lay hands on them, and that spirit will come out of them. So you just. But that's why I wanted girls, because they're so precious.
Yeah, I'm on the girl side too. I have 1 girl. They're precious.
It's a word for it.
I'm with them.
And how many children do you have?
I have 2 boys.
You have 2 boys. You can keep trying.
Oh, no. I got lucky.
You got lucky. I'm telling you.
No.
I mean, girls don't like their mothers as much when they're growing up. But other than that.
I'm not really sure that's true.
Other than that, your husband will really love it. Because,
No, we don't treat our boys any different than we would have treated girls.
You do, so you don't.
No, we don't.
They can all wear dresses.
My husband has no problem with public displays of affection.
Oh, I do. My boys have complete public displays of affection. I don't mean that you don't love your boys the same, but you have to prepare your boys to be different. I mean, let me ask you a question. If your son plays in a sport, do you want him to get a trophy even though he loses?
No.
Why?
I wouldn't want my daughter to either.
You wouldn't? So what would you want your daughter to get?
Participation trophies suck.
I wouldn't want either one of them to get it.
Imagine I have 7 kids. Which ones you think are the professional athletes in my family?
The girls, they're 6'5".
They are. My daughters have been playing. They play in the WNBA. My one daughter, Corden, was the NFL. I mean WNBA rebound leader this year. One of them plays. They both play. You know, the WNBA setup where you have to play in America to be marketable overseas, but the real money for a woman is overseas. So I have a daughter playing in Russia. And then I have another one playing in Turkey. And then for the WNBA, it's the Tulsa Shock. But my one daughter, Courtney Paris, broke 25 records in college basketball. That was a male and female record. You got to figure she got the most double-doubles, 119 double-doubles in a row. Tim Duncan, as a man, had 90 his whole career, and they wasn't in a row.
Yeah, but his sister spanked him, didn't she?
Well, did she? I don't know. I don't know if Tim Duncan's sister spanked him or not. But anyway, but my daughter's, you know, so you're right. I'm full of girl power, but I understand that my sons grew up with a healthy sense of male affection, but the reality of it is life is sort of different for a male. You have to prepare a male to be a man. Something you don't expect mamas to understand, but they do, because you're supposed to be the love. You're supposed to be the one that fixes it for them. You're fixing it for the break. Oh, your father's so sweet, baby. Let me fix it. Boy, your father, boy, you better get in there and you better fix that thing.
You should come to my house.
So y'all have it together, huh? Okay, I like it.
The kids are very nice.
They are.
My daughter's nice too.
She is. Because you're the dad. They're supposed to be. They're so sweet. Don't she? He loves you so much. She loves you, don't she?
I think it depends on the day, probably. I mean, you know, whether I want to do her homework.
You are mean to your daughter.
I mean to everyone.
You are. So after this show, I'm kidding. I'm great. But you don't champion that. You know what?
I love my daughter.
I'm gonna tell you something. I think that education is the most important thing. But I'm gonna tell you a secret. This is something that Albert Einstein said. You know who Albert Einstein is?
Yeah, he was an Australian guy. He had like weird hair. It was real big, right?
But do you realize when Einstein, he's known as one of the brightest minds in the world. But when he was in preschool and elementary school, they thought he was autistic. That because they couldn't understand him and didn't know how to form their education system to teach him, they considered him, that he was kind of mentally challenged.
They held him back.
He dropped out of school at the age of 16 years old, but he's one of the brightest minds in the world. And Albert Einstein said something that I think is important, especially when it comes to education. He said, the supreme art of a teacher is to awaken the joy of self-expression and knowledge. That Albert Einstein said the same thing that Deepak Chopra said about. He said that in order that every human being was given a gifting, that there's something that they have that they do better than anyone in the world, and that a good teacher awakens the joy of that expression and the knowledge of that thing. That when you go into the Library of Congress, there's over 32 million books, because 32 million people saw the exact same world 32 million different ways. That if you can believe that everyone has that gifting in them, then you educate them different. A teacher that I'm extremely proud of, you want to see a good teacher, Ann Sullivan to me is one of the best teachers that ever lived. She was a first-year teacher. And guess who her student was? It was Helen Keller, a young girl who couldn't see, hear, or talk. But Ann Sullivan figured out a way to unlock inside of this young lady, who could not communicate in any way, 12 books, a Woman of the Year, the FLW, she founded this, all of these things locked into someone that didn't have any external way of communicating, but someone figured out a way to do it. So when it comes to your kids, one of the things that I like that Albert Einstein said, he said that imagination is greater than knowledge. And some people think that's crazy. No, but if we can, because you think about it, if you can only give the world the things you know, we would only give the world things that exist. That everything that we see that makes our life perfect, it makes our life good, came out of the imagination of someone. Can you imagine when I was growing up? See, you're younger, you're younger. But when I was growing up, the notion of a cellular telephone was something that was just not, it would be something that you would have seen in a five-side, a comic book. It was something that, they just couldn't imagine. But now they have phones that can do anything because someone imagined it. And so that's something I tell parents all the time, that if you take your kids and if you can allow them to have a make-believe world, because the beautiful world that we live in now with all of its innovation was once in the imagination of a whole bunch of kids running around thinking it was possible to fly. Auburn Wilbur Wright believed that man could fly when everyone else thought this notion was strange. But because they believed it, we now get on airplanes and we take for granted that flight has always existed. But it existed in the imagination of someone who was determined to make their thoughts become true. So that's what you get when you got your little baby. See, mine are grown now, except for one. I got one that's 17 years old that goes to Kimball, and he's driving me crazy. Oh, please, if anybody out there can help me, can you?
Is he a senior? Is this the last year?
Oh no, he's in his junior year.
Oh, okay.
You know, he's gonna be all right. I believe he's an Einstein in the making.
Sure.
He just don't know it yet.
Great. Just gotta find that one thing.
Yeah, you gotta find that one thing.
So you live in.